Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the next big thing in sports podcast. My name is Matt McCoy and I will be your host for this episode. If you've listened to the podcast in the past, I appreciate your listenership and thank you for coming back once again. On today's episode, we're going to have our second mock draft. This time will be a Dynasty version. Pretty excited to dive into it and provide some content. Before we do so, I want to reintroduce ourselves. Again, we are the next big thing in sports podcast. You can find us online as well on our website, thenextbigthinginsports.com. When you arrive to our site, you'll find some good material out there. We're going to dive into our fantasy football leagues. We're giving our rankings at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Going to have our big board out there and also dive into the college ranks for the 2020 NFL Draft. Get some information out there about some college players. We're only in May. We're in the dog's days of summer, but football season will be here before you know it. So we're going to keep bringing you the content and the podcast. So our last episode, we did our first ever mock draft. We used the Fantasy Pros mock draft tool. So thank you to the people at Fantasy Pros. They're not a sponsor. They're just awesome. So we're going to give them a shout out. So we're going to do a Dynasty version today. For those of you who may not be familiar with Dynasty, it's basically fantasy football just ramped up. When you draft your players, you get to keep them for as long as you want. Now, you still have the ability for transactions, picking up free agents, trades, that kind of stuff. But the backbone of your team is made up from the draft. So the draft is imperative. It's very important. And you'll see a different strategy. Younger players get moved up. You want younger players. You want these guys year over year. And older players will become devalued. So in your draft, you'll be able to find some value with older players some people might be avoiding at their position. So your draft strategy changes a great deal, and your rankings will change. So to give you a prime example, so in just your regular redraft leagues, I would imagine most people would have, say, a Le'Veon Bell ahead of a Joshua Jacobs. In Dynasty, however, would that still be the case? Some people might want to take the plunge on a Josh Jacobs over Le'Veon Bell, thinking maybe Lev has 3 or 4 years left, while Joshua Jacobs might have 8, 9, or 10. They're thinking more long term. Now, to each their own, how they run their fantasy team. My personal preference is I only look about 3 years, maybe 4 years down the line. I think anything beyond that is a bit foolhardy. We really don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how these young players are going to play out. So a lot of times younger players are overvalued. I try to be, my overall draft philosophy is to be risk adverse. I want to get sure things early on and build my team around that. And then I start shooting for higher upside players as the draft progresses. I want to build my foundation and go from there. So without further ado, we're going to get started, and we're going to start. We're going to have the sixth position. I want to pick number 6, right in the middle of the draft. Give you an idea of what runs we see and that kind of stuff. So we'll dive right on into it. So with the sixth draft spot, let's get it rolling here. First 5 picks off the board. Number 1, Odell Beckham Jr. Number 2, Saquon Barkley. Number 3, DeAndre Hopkins. Number 4, Todd Gurley. And number 5, Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, the first thing that you will notice in this draft, which you normally do not see in your redraft leagues, 3 wide receivers off the board in the top 5 picks. So that's our first discussion point there, is why wide receivers earlier in Dynasty leagues? Well, it's the nature of the sport and the nature of the positions. Wide receivers tend to be less injury prone. Now we've had years in the past where wide receivers get a lot of injuries, but normally wide receivers, they're pass catchers. They're getting hit by cornerbacks and safeties more often. They're less injury prone and get less wear and tear on their bodies than the running back position. Running backs are running in between tackles with men 300 plus pounds, just trying to rip them to shreds. So, and they're getting the ball more often. A running back might touch the football 15 to 20 times, whereas a wide receiver may have 7, 8, 9 catches. So, there's less wear and tear at the wide receiver position, and this is a long-term view. You want to get guys who are going to play for a long time. So, in your normal redraft leagues, you would never see Odell Beckham Jr., DeAndre Hopkins, or Juju Smith-Schuster going to top 5, but Dynasty is a different animal. So, we're sitting here. We're going to evaluate FanDuel, or we use Fantasy Pros rankings. So, the best 5 players available: Christian McCaffrey, their 3rd-ranked player overall in Dynasty format, still available. Ezekiel Elliott is the number 4 overall player. Alvin Kamara is number 6. Michael Thomas and Devontae Adams. That makes our top 5. So we got 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers. I'm going to prioritize the running back position. I know I just said wide receivers have a longer tenure, but I really want to find a foundation piece. And to me, your young running backs are going to go off the board really, really quickly. I would imagine you want to get one early. So we're sitting here, Ezekiel Elliott, 23 years old. McCaffrey's 22. Kamara's 23. I think Ezekiel Elliott's the number 1 player on my board for redraft leagues. For Dynasty, him and McCaffrey are neck and neck. I took McCaffrey in our last draft, so just to diversify here. And I probably would, given the situation, take Zeke. I think he's pretty safe. So Ezekiel Elliott is going to be our first pick here, pick number 6. And he starts our draft. So going down through the list, again, there should be 12 picks in between our picks, since we are at pick number 6. So Alvin Kamara immediately comes off the board after Zeke, followed by Devontae Adams, Christian McCaffrey, Michael Thomas, Le'Veon Bell, and Joe Mixon round out the top first round, top 12 picks there. We enter into round 2. And again, like I said, you see a lot of running backs calling off the board here. So since our pick, Alvin Kamara, McCaffrey, Bell, and Mixon, 4 running backs in the next 6 picks. And then in round 2, Mike Evans comes off the board with the first pick, followed by Dalvin Cook, Melvin Gordon, James Conner, Nick Chubb, and David Johnson. So again, 5 more running backs come off the board here in round 2. Again, people are prioritizing the young running back crop here. Dalvin Cook, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon all get a bump up in Dynasty League. So, we have our second pick here, and we got some decisions to make. So, going to look back at the best available players on the list here for Fantasy Pros. So we'll take a look at the top at each position. No quarterbacks have been taken. And again, we likely are not going to target a quarterback early. We tend to wait. Dynasty, we might have to bump up somebody a little bit given their age. But again, we're going to hold off for the time being. At running back, 12 running backs have come off in the first 18 picks. So again, you see the high priority at running back. People are getting them before they are gone. So top 5 running backs available: Sony Michel, Kerryon Johnson, Darius Geis, Aaron Jones, and Leonard Fournette. All of them are young backs. So they would be of interest here. At wide receiver, top 5 available: Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Antonio Brown. Now, again, this is where you start getting into looking at ages and things of that nature, and no tight ends have come off the board. So, Travis Kelce needs to be in consideration here. So, when you're evaluating these guys, you got to look at their ages, given the fact that this is a dynasty league. So, looking at my own personal big board, my number 1 player available is Julio Jones. I have him 13th overall. Now, he is 30 years old, so that's going to bring up the conversation of, are you taking somebody who is a little bit old for your team? So Julio is a consideration. Keenan Allen, who is just 27 years old, is a consideration. Joshua Jacobs, I have him ranked 17th on my list, just being 22 years old. And I have him ranked ahead of James Conner, Dalvin Cook, Le'Veon Bell, due to the fact that he is so young. So I did not mention his name earlier in the top 5 rankings, but I am curious now to see where it doesn't look like Fantasy Pros have updated their rookie running back list for Dynasty, because I don't see Joshua Jacobs on their list unless I'm missing them. I'm scrolling down the list here. You can see there he is. They have him ranked 51 at their overall on their big board. I don't believe that's the case. I believe he'll eventually get pushed up. Rookies tend to do so. But again, so I'm looking at our decision making here. Again, our format, we have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. So where do we go from here? Travis Kelce, you got to consider him here. He's the clear number 1 tight end on the boards. And, Travis Kelce, I have him ranked in the 3rd round. He's going to be 30 years old as well. So I'm going to pass on Travis Kelce at this point. I think we need to look at either running back or wide receiver. Given the fact that there are a lot of the same guys, same age, around the same value, like I said, Sony Michel, Kerryon Johnson, Darius Geis, I'm going to pass at running back for the time being. I probably would target that position in round 3. Going to move back to wide receiver. So to me, the best combination of age and production comes down to Keenan Allen. I'm going to give him the slight edge, even though I have Julio Jones 1 spot ahead of him in my rankings. Julio being in 30, I think Keenan Allen makes more sense to pair with Ezekiel Elliott. So Keenan Allen's going to come off the board right here. We're going to take him. So and see what happens next. So I'm very glad we took Keenan Allen in the 2nd round, because immediately after, we had Travis Kelce come off the board, but then a long run at the wide receiver position. So Travis Kelce came off at the 208 spot, followed by Tyreek Hill. Again, with the off-the-field issues, not sure what's going to happen there, but I get the exercise. Right behind Tyreek Hill, Julio Jones, followed by A.J. Green, Amari Cooper, round out the 2nd round. And we enter round number 3. We have Leonard Fournette, Aaron Jones, followed by Antonio Brown, Stephon Diggs, and Kerryon Johnson. So to review again, all the quarterbacks still remain on the board. Our top 5 running backs at this point: Sony Michel, Darius Geis, Marlon Mack, Phillip Lindsay, Joshua Jacobs. At wide receiver, Brandon Cooks, Kenny Golladay, Adam Thielen, T.Y. Hilton, DJ Moore. And at tight end, George Kittle, Zach Ertz, O.J. Howard, Evan Ingram, and David Njoku. So Kelce comes off the board. George Kittle sitting here is appealing and has to be considered, given the fact that he has the advantage of his age. The fact that George Kittle is only 26 years old. Ertz and Kelce, Ertz is 29, Kelce will be 30. Those guys are getting a little bit longer in the tooth, so George Kittle has a couple years on them. If you feel like they are the quote-unquote big 3 at the position, then George Kittle should have some value for your team. But again, I really like taking a running back here. Say with Kerryon, Aaron Jones, and Leonard Fournette coming off the board. It's getting a little bit slim at running back. We do need 2 running back starters. I mentioned Joshua Jacobs before. I like him here more than Sony Michel or Darius Geis. I think he's more of a complete player. Just 22 years old. Not much wear and tear on the tires. It looks like Oakland's going to use him as their 3-down workhorse. So sign me up for Joshua Jacobs. If he lasts around 3, I really like the value of him given this position. So Joshua Jacobs is going to come off the board for us, and we'll pair him with Ezekiel Elliott, and then we're going to see what happens heading into round number 4. So the recap immediately after our 3rd round pick. So again, wide receivers continue to come off the board, plentiful. Kenny Golladay, was the pick immediately after ours, followed by Brandon Cooks. Then George Kittle. I say we highly consider Kittle right there, but I think it's better to start getting our wide receivers and running backs locked up. At the 3:10, Adam Thielen comes off the board, followed by our first quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, last almost to round 4. With the final pick in the 3rd round, Kareem Hunt. Now, again, I think this is more of an anomaly pick. I would not expect Kareem Hunt to come off this early. He's very young. Just not sure what role he's going to have with Cleveland or anyone else moving forward. So I don't think you'll see Kareem Hunt come off your board in round 3. In round 4, Darius Geis, we mentioned him previously. Devin Singletary, pretty rich for Singletary here coming off the board. Zach Ertz is the 3rd tight end off the board in round 4, followed by Robert Woods, Sony Michel, and T.Y. Hilton. So, to recap, the top 5 at each position: Baker Mayfield, Andrew Luck, Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. Only one quarterback gone at that position. Running back, top running backs available: Marlon Mack, Philip Lindsay, Derrick Henry, Devontae Freeman, Tariq Cohen, and I'm going to add Rashad Penny, one of my favorites so far in the draft season. Wide receiver, the best available: DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, Corey Davis, Calvin Ridley, Chris Godwin. And tight end, the big 3 have gone, so we're left with O.J. Howard, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Hunter Henry, and Eric Ebron. Again, so let's just eliminate quarterback and tight end from the conversation. I'm not going to take either one of those positions here. I think we still need to continue to build up our running backs and wide receivers. Remember, we do have 2 flex positions to fill. So to me, this kind of conversation comes down to, say, I got like a Marlon Mack. If you are a believer in Philip Lindsay, I tend to shy away. I like Mack substantially more than Philip Lindsay. But a wide receiver, we have 2 guys I really like. DJ Moore and Cooper Kupp seem to be a tier above the rest here. I like Marlon Mack more than what it feels like the Indianapolis Colts like Marlon Mack. They were highly linked to Joshua Jacobs. Rumor has it they were looking at Joshua Jacobs in the draft. You never know what to believe here. But I like a few younger options. Damian Williams, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, a little bit down the line. I think we need to go wide receiver here. As many wide receivers come off the board already, so you got to figure. At this point, it looks like there's been just about 20 wide receivers off the board. We only have 1, and Keenan Allen. So it comes down to our big board, and on our big board for Dynasty, we have Cooper Kupp 38 and DJ Moore 43. They're pretty close. DJ Moore being 22, Cooper Kupp being 26. I'm going to go with DJ Moore here. Again, going against our board a little bit. I like the youth on our team. We got Joshua Jacobs in round 2. He's 22 as well, trying to match our team for longevity. So I'm going to choose DJ Moore, add him to our wide receiver group, add him to Keenan Allen, and then we'll see how it transpires leading into round number 5. So, again, glad we did that because a couple more wide receivers came off the board here in round 4. Chris Godwin, followed by Corey Davis, then Allen Robinson. Yet another tight end came off the board, O.J. Howard with the 4-11, followed by Marlon Mack, the one running back in round 4 I was considering. In round 5, Aaron Rodgers comes off the board, followed by A.J. Brown, the rookie wide receiver for Tennessee. Again, a little rich for me there. And we had 3 running backs go off the board before our pick as Tariq Cohen, Philip Lindsay, and Damian Williams. So, looking again at the landscape, so only 2 quarterbacks come off the board, Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. Our top 5 at running back remaining: Derrick Henry, Devontae Freeman, Rashad Penny, Miles Sanders, and Tevin Coleman. At wide receiver, top 5 available. I was hoping Cooper Kupp would be available, and he is. He's still available out there for us, so a guy I really like. Also in consideration is Calvin Ridley, Sammy Watkins, Jarvis Landry, and N'Keal Harry. Our top 5 at tight end, with O.J. Howard now off the board is Evan Ingram, David Njoku, Hunter Henry, Eric Ebron, and T.J. Hawkinson. I think we're in a similar boat as we were in our previous pick. I believe you still want to avoid the quarterback position and tight end. I know Howard coming off the board gets a little scarier, but like I said, I still like some guys that are pretty young at that position. I think we still need to build our running backs and wide receivers. So update you so far, we have our 2 running back slots filled with Ezekiel Elliott and Joshua Jacobs. At wide receiver, we have Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. We have a quarterback, tight end to fill, and 2 flex spots for our starting lineup and 6 bench spots. To remind you, this is also a half-point PPR format. So, again, I was debating between Cooper Kupp and DJ Moore the last round. To me, Cooper Kupp, I have him, let's see, on my big board, I have him 38th overall. I really like him, just 26 years old. I know he's coming off the injury, but it seems like everything is just fine on that front. And one of the more high-octane offenses. Fantasy Pros has him 41, so we're pretty close in lockstep. And he's sitting here, let's see, it's 6th pick in round number 5. That's 54 overall. It's great value. Not going to belittle the point anymore. We're going to take Cooper Kupp. Just feels right. Hoping one of the young running backs will come back on the board to us, and we'll see what happens on the way back. So, wide receivers continue to jump off the page here. We had Baker Mayfield that picked immediately after us, and he was, I guess, the 3rd quarterback off the board. And then we had a run of wide receivers: Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, N'Keal Harry, DK Metcalf, Alshon Jeffrey. That ends round number 5 on 5 wide receivers. Going right there at the end of round number 5. We start round number 6 with another wide receiver. Will Fuller comes off the board, followed by David Montgomery, Jarvis Landry. Then we get our number 4 quarterback off the board. Deshaun Watson comes off with the 4th pick in the 6th round, followed by yet again 2 more wide receivers, Mike Williams and Sammy Watkins. So where does that leave us at these positions? So reminding you, we have 3 wide receivers at this point: Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp. He is in our flex. We have our 2 running backs, Ezekiel Elliott and Joshua Jacobs. Top 5 available at each position: Andrew Luck remains still available, Russell Wilson, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, and Cam Newton. Top 5 quarterbacks on the list. Running backs available remain: Derrick Henry still on the board, Devontae Freeman, Rashad Penny, Miles Sanders, and Tevin Coleman. Wind out your top 5 running backs and top 5 wide receivers. Very glad we grabbed Cooper Kupp when we did. Cortland Sutton remains on the board, Christian Kirk, Dante Pettis, Tyler Lockett, and Anthony Miller. So we have a decision on our hands here in the 6th round. And I'll be frank, I don't really believe it's much of a decision when I look at the board. Wide receivers have been kind of thinned out. We got 3 solid players there. I don't think we need to go back to that well here. I do like some of the value of younger players moving forward. And people are reaching. When you're taking guys like DK Metcalf for my money in the 5th round, it's a little bit early. And I like DK Metcalf long term, but I believe he's going to have some hiccups early on in his career. And you're trying to win the league now as well as, 2022 and beyond. So Derrick Henry sitting here, to me, sticks out like a sore thumb. On my rankings, I have him ranked 46 overall on our big board. Let's see, I believe Fantasy Pros was somewhere similar. They have him 48. So we're right in lockstep with Derrick Henry. Again, this is the 7th pick in the 6th round. So this is 67 overall, getting a guy we have ranked in the 40s. Let's do that. Let's do Derrick Henry. We're going to pair him with Ezekiel Elliott and Joshua Jacobs. I know he's not the best pass catcher, but he'll fill our flex position, add up, I guess, some additional depth at the running back position. So now we have 6 players drafted so far, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, very balanced. Ezekiel Elliott, Joshua Jacobs, and Derrick Henry at running back, and wide receiver, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Cooper Kupp. So the picks after ours in the 6th round. Andrew Luck came off the board. He was the highest ranked player still available, followed by Cortland Sutton, then Devontae Freeman and Chris Carson. Sterling Shepard was the final pick in round 6. In round 7, another rookie wide receiver, Marquise Hollywood Brown. Kyler Murray comes off the board with the 2nd pick in round 2. Again, showing you the difference in Dynasty leagues. He actually went 1 pick again ahead of the guy he's most mentioned with, in Russell Wilson. They went back to back. Right after Wilson, we have 2 picks: David Njoku, a young tight end, and another rookie wide receiver, Mecole Hardman. Again, not that I dislike these rookie wide receivers. I think they have value, but for me, when we're getting guys like Derrick Henry and Cooper Kupp, and they're going for DK Metcalf, Mecole Hardman, it feels like reaches to me. You're reaching for upside, but at the end of the day, I think we're getting more value, and we're still getting guys who are 25, 26 years old. It's not like they're over the hill. So I really like what we've done so far. So let's look over the top 5 available players at each position. We've had 7 quarterbacks come off the board, including Kyler Murray. So our top 5 quarterbacks available are Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Jameis Winston, and Jimmy Garoppolo. I guess that would be 6 quarterbacks I just gave you. Top 5 running backs available: Rashad Penny, Miles Sanders, Tevin Coleman, Mark Ingram, and Royce Freeman. Top 5 wide receivers: Cortland Sutton is gone. We were left with Christian Kirk, Dante Pettis, Tyler Lockett, Anthony Miller, and Marvin Jones. And our top 5 tight ends available are Evan Ingram, Hunter Henry, Eric Ebron, TJ Hawkinson, and Noah Fant. So each position is getting thinned out a little bit, but there's still some young talent in each and every position. So we have one of our more tough decisions here to make, in my opinion. Now, many of you out there may recommend for us to take a quarterback or a tight end here, seeing that our 2 running back spots are filled, our 2 wide receiver positions are filled, and our 2 flex spots are also filled. I'm going to disagree. I still think we need to move forward and continue to add to our arsenal at the running back and wide receiver positions. Remember, injuries are going to happen. Bye weeks are going to happen. So the first few guys off your bench, your bench entirely is very important. I think it's one of the more underrated aspects of fantasy football. I think people overlook it. So, while I am highly considering Evan Ingram here at this position, I think it'd be great value. I'm looking still at the running back and wide receiver positions. So to me, we got Christian Kirk, Dante Pettis, Tyler Lockett. They have similar value. And there's some young guys down below, like Deebo Samuel, who I really like, Paris Campbell. So what I'm hoping for is maybe one of those guys can last. We have 12 picks before our next pick. But Rashad Penny, Miles Sanders, they kind of stick out to me. Tevin Coleman going to San Francisco. Not a bad buy here at this point, but I'm just not sure of his role with the 49ers. Mark Ingram should play well this year. But again, I think he'll be 29 this year, getting a little long in the tooth as far as running back's concerned. Given our team and trying to match guys with them. On my big board, I have Miles Sanders ranked ahead of Rashad Penny. Fantasy Pros has Penny ranked 58th overall and Miles Sanders 73. So pretty close as far as everything is concerned. But I'm going to give a slight edge to Rashad Penny here. I think he'd be a good fit with us. He's going to be our 4th running back on this team. But again, getting more balance, be the first man off our bench. You can put him in the flex or running back when needed. So we're going to take Rashad Penny here with the 6th pick in the 7th round. And hopefully keep our fingers crossed that one of these wide receivers we really like fall back to us in the next round. Does not appear that was the case. Looks like we missed out at some of the guys who liked the wide receiver there, so they all came off the board. Following our pick, which was the 6th pick in round 7, was Tyler Lockett as one of the guys we highly considered. Then Carson Wentz, Hakeem Butler, the rookie wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. Again, too rich for my blood. Miles Sanders, the other running backs we considered, came off the board. Hunter Henry has come off the board, tight end for the Chargers. Cam Newton, a quarterback of Carolina, came off the board. And then in round number 8, 5 of the first 6 picks were wide receiver, which does hurt the depth of the position here for us. Deshaun Hamilton out of Denver. Christian Kirk. Then Jared Goff came off the board as well, followed by Dante Pettis, Robbie Anderson, and Anthony Miller. So, to recap, top 5 at each position available: Matt Ryan, Jameis Winston, Jimmy Garoppolo, Dak Prescott, and Lamar Jackson. Top 5 running backs: Tevin Coleman, Mark Ingram, Royce Freeman, Kenyon Drake, and Jerick McKinnon. And again, some people might see a guy like Kenyon Drake still being available and say, why don't you take him? I'm not a big fan of Kenyon Drake. Just don't really see the appeal. I don't think Miami likes him, so why would I? Top 5 wide receivers available: Marvin Jones, James Washington, Deebo Samuel, Dede Westbrook, and Michael Gallup. And top 5 tight ends: Evan Ingram, Eric Ebron, TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, and Dallas Goedert. So this is going to be a tough decision as well. So I really want to get another wide receiver here pretty soon. We only have 3 on our roster. We have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Cooper Kupp. But I need more receivers, but I just don't see the value here at this spot. Like I said, I like Deebo Samuel. He's highly on my list. I really am strongly considering him. My best player available remaining is J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Philadelphia Eagle. He's more of a long-term projection. I think he'll have some immediate value for the Eagles, but ultimately I think he'll be the Alshon Jeffrey replacement in Philadelphia for Carson Wentz. So I think he'll have more value in, say, 2023 and beyond. So not that I'm adverse to taking him, but at this spot, I really want to get somebody who can help us. A young piece. We're still here in round 8. Our team is built to win now and later. I got to say, Evan Ingram still being here on the board. I like to wait on my tight end. We're here round 8. I think it's tremendous value. Fantasy Pros has him ranked 62 overall. And so we're sitting here at pick number 91. He's still on the board, just 24 years old. Okay, so we're going to take Evan Ingram, fill our tight end spot, and hopefully we get some wide receiver value on the way back. So let's see. After Ingram comes off the board, he fills our tight end spot. To recap our team, we have Ezekiel Elliott, Joshua Jacobs, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry. Now you slide in Evan Ingram at tight end. We have Rashad Penny, the first man off our bench. So after our pick, wide receivers continue to come off the board, but some guys that I wasn't exactly targeting. So with picks, last 6 picks in round 8, Traquan Smith, wide receiver out of New Orleans, Matt Ryan, Tevin Coleman, Doug Baldwin comes off the board. Again, there's some concern that he might retire, so how realistic is this projection? I'm not 100% sure. Paris Campbell, the rookie wide receiver in Indianapolis, a guy I really like, does come off the board with the last pick in round 8. And the top 5 picks in round 9, Marvin Jones, we mentioned him. Kelvin Harmon, the rookie wide receiver for Washington. Golden Tate, another wide receiver. So again, after our pick, 6 more wide receivers came off the board. Royce Freeman and Mark Ingram finally comes off the board here in the 5th pick in round number 9. So let's get the pulse here. Who's the best players available at quarterback? We have now had 11 quarterbacks come off the board. My hunch is we are the only team without one. But again, this is not a redraft. This is Dynasty, so some guys might be piling up on a couple quarterbacks. Top 5 available: Jameis Winston, Jimmy Garoppolo, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Mitchell Trubisky. Top 5 running backs remaining available. Kenyon Drake still on the board. I guess there are other teams out there like me who are not sure about his status. Jerick McKinnon, James White, Lamar Miller, and Jordan Howard. At wide receiver, James Washington, Deebo Samuel, Dede Westbrook, Michael Gallup, and Kiki Kuti. And at tight end, Eric Ebron, TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert, and Trey Burton. Now, I will say Eric Ebron still being here available is enticing. It'd be fun to pair Evan Ingram and Eric Ebron, the all double E team. I think, you can start one at tight end and one at flex, as a matter of fact. So he's enticing here. He's actually the highest player available on Fantasy Pros big board is Kenyon Drake at 82, who I said I really don't like, and Eric Ebron at 84. So he represents great value here at this pick. I guess this would be the pick 102. So really good value there. But as I said before, I think I'm pushing my luck here. Wide receiver. We only have 3 wide receivers at this point. And Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp. I think we need additional reinforcements. It comes out to me to James Washington or Deebo Samuel. I really like Deebo Samuel. I know he's a rookie. He may not be able to contribute in year one, but I think he's a versatile player, can play inside, outside. 49ers obviously really highly prioritized him. So it doesn't seem like the Fantasy Pros like him as much. They like him in the 110 range. But I really like Deebo Samuel. For this particular team, I think we really need a wide receiver. So I'm going to pass on Eric Ebron here, take Deebo Samuel. I think it makes more sense for our team in particular. So off the board after our pick, Michael Gallup comes off the board, followed by Kenyon Drake, Darrell Henderson, running back out of Memphis that went to the Rams in the draft, James White, Kiki Kuti, and Benny Snell Jr., another rookie running back for the Steelers. And our top 6 picks in round number 10, Justice Hill, John Brown, Jerick McKinnon, Lamar Miller, TJ Hawkinson, and Julian Edelman. So no quarterbacks came off the board. Status quo there. Looks like had a mini run on running backs. About 7 running backs came off the board there. So the top 5 backs remaining, Jordan Howard, Ronald Jones, Matt Breida, Damian Harris, and Ito Smith. Top 5 wide receivers available. James Washington remains on the board, followed by Dede Westbrook, Curtis Samuel, Devin Funchess, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I say he's the highest guy on my board. I know a lot of people are not as high on him. Tight end still available is Eric Ebron. He stands out to me, followed by Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert, Trey Burton, and Chris Herndon. So given the fact that no quarterbacks came off the board the last round, I'm going to press my luck. I know we're here in round 10. We got to take our starting quarterback at some point. But again, we want to build this team from the inside out. Eric Ebron is still being available to me. I'd like to get 2 tight ends in this draft. We do have Evan Ingram. I don't think Eric Ebron should be available here. So although I like to get another running back or wide receiver, I'm taking Eric Ebron. I think the value is just way too high. Let's pair him with Evan Ingram and lock down our tight end position, which I'm glad we did. Oh, my goodness. Immediately after that, we'll get into what happened on round number 11 here in a second. But running backs came off the board after this. Ronald Jones II, followed by Jordan Howard. Then wide receiver Dede Westbrook, followed by another rookie running back, Damian Harris. Wide receiver Andy Isabella came off here at the end of round number 10. And then the top 5 picks in the 11th round, Noah Fant, Dallas Goedert, Trey Burton, Kyle Rudolph, followed by Latavius Murray. So 4 tight ends came off to kick off round number 11. So I'm glad we went with Ebron where we did. Got great value. Again, he's not as young as Goddard, Fant, but again, this guy is more proven. Double-digit touchdowns last year. Not expecting that again from this year, but at just 26 years old, matches our team very, very well. So we sit here entering round number 11. We've made 10 picks. I believe we have a very balanced roster. We have 4 running backs, Ezekiel Elliott, Joshua Jacobs, Rashad Penny, and Derrick Henry. A wide receiver, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, and Deebo Samuel. We have 2 tight ends, Evan Ingram and Eric Ebron. I believe we can leave the tight end position alone. Quarterbacks continue to slide. Doesn't seem like anybody is targeting their backup quarterback as of yet. Top 5 quarterbacks remain Jameis Winston, Jimmy Garoppolo, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, and Mitch Trubisky. At running back, it's getting pretty dicey down there. Top 5 available, Matt Breida, Ito Smith, Nyheim Hines, Austin Eckler, and Duke Johnson. At wide receiver, James Washington, Curtis Samuel, Devin Funchess, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling are top 5 down there. So, I still kind of want to push it and not go for my quarterback. The question is, do we go running back or wide receiver here? The way I'm looking at this is we're very, very similar to position. I feel pretty good, pretty rock solid about having Zeke, Joshua Jacobs, and Derrick Henry as my top 3 running backs. And then we took a flyer on Rashad Penny. But I think he's going to have a role in Seattle no matter what, and could supplant Chris Carson, which gives us 4 strong running backs. At wide receiver, we have Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp. Don't have to worry about them at all. We are relying on Deebo Samuel as our 4th wide receiver. So I'm a little concerned about that, being that he's a rookie. The question being, it really, really dips off at both positions around this time. The guys in consideration for me in short order are Ito Smith, Nyheim Hines, Austin Eckler. Those 3 are a tier above anybody else at the running back position. So what I really got to figure is keep my fingers crossed, who's going to fall to us 12 more picks. So Ito Smith, Nyheim Hines, Austin Eckler, and wide receiver, I'm looking at James Washington or J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. So Arcega-Whiteside is the best player on my board remaining. I have him in the 60s, again, because I think the upside with him and Carson Wentz long term is just out of this world. James Washington, I have him ranked in 87, but again, I think he's going to have more immediate impact for your team. He's only 23 years old as we sit here today. It's a tough call, tough decision here. Given that our team might need a little bit more immediate impact, and I think their long-term values could be similar, I say they're in the same stratosphere. Do I go? Man, I'm going to get some convictions here. I really think J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is a better fit. Dynasty. How do I go, Jay? I'm torn, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I tell you what, I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna go with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I think he's a better play for Dynasty long term. I think he's going to be the eventual number 1 wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're going to take J.J. Arcega-Whiteside here in the 11th round. So were we lucky? Oh, we were not. We got bit. So after our selection, Chris Herndon, Peyton Barber, Miles Boykin, Matt Breida, Austin Hooper, Irv Smith Jr. all came off the board. It was looking good for a little while, guys. And then in round 12, Carlos Hyde, L.J. Scott, Duke Johnson Jr., and then listen to this, the 3 picks in front of us in a row. Ito Smith, Austin Eckler, Nyheim Hines. That was my tier of running backs. Those are guys I really wanted to fall to us here at this pick, and it was not meant to be. So we're going to have to scramble a little bit at running back here. It's not what I like to see. I was really gambling there. Maybe I should have waited and took a running back there. And but hey, this is what you're going to face in your draft. So this is a good exercise that we missed out at wide receiver. But yeah, I'm happy with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I think he's going to be a stud. I think it gives you some immediate return on investment. So I'm not mad at the pick. Just not sure what we're going to do here in the 12th round. So To recalibrate again, no more quarterbacks come off the board. Status quo there. Top 5 now, sitting here at running back: Dion Lewis, Deontay Foreman, T.J. Yeldon, LaShawn Shady McCoy, and Kalen Ballage. Top 5 at wide receiver: James Washington still is available. Curtis Samuel, Devin Funchess, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Emmanuel Sanders. And again, we're not going to go anywhere at tight end. It's basically been cooked now at this point. Top five available at tight end remain Jared Cook, Vance McDonald, Mike Gesicki, Mark Andrews, and Jack Doyle. So I'm happy where we are at tight end. I tell you what, guys, I know we should probably go for quarterback here at some point. We have 3 more places to go. We have quarterback to fill, 2 bench spots. Man, I think I need to go 2 quarterbacks, which means I probably need to go for another running back here. But, man, I don't know if I can avoid James Washington. James Washington sitting there. Tell you what, he's the best value pick by far and away. We're just going to take him. James Washington, add some more to our wide receivers. Maybe if it's a real league, we can make some trades or something. But we're taking James Washington, make him so he actually is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, our 6th wide receiver off of the board. So we have taken James Washington and added him to our mix. Again, you can start up to 4 wide receivers potentially with our 2 wide receivers and 2 flex positions. So not a bad problem to have. Got a lot of young talent on this team. So we're moving into the 13th round. We have 2 positions to draft remaining. So Mitchell Trubisky just came off the board. So our top 5 quarterbacks remaining still Jameis Winston, Jimmy Garoppolo, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, and Kirk Cousins. At running back, top 5 remaining: LaShawn Shady McCoy, Kalen Ballage, Jalen Samuels, Chris Thompson, and Jamal Williams. Top 5 wide receivers: Curtis Samuel, Devin Funchess, Emmanuel Sanders, Marquise Goodwin, and Antonio Callaway. We can put wide receiver to bed at this point. We have 6 of them, don't need any more. And top 5 tight ends was, again, we're good. Jared Cook, Vance McDonald, Mike Gesicki, Mark Andrews, and Jack Doyle. So at this point, we probably need to look at quarterback. The question is, how do you feel about these guys from a dynasty standpoint? So we can even go further down here. We have Jameis. He's the highest ranked quarterback available. Do you question if he's going to be the quarterback in Tampa Bay moving forward? He's had his own off-the-field issues. Jimmy Garoppolo coming back off an injury. How high is his upside? Dak Prescott, never been a big fan. I just don't see the upside with Prescott. Lamar Jackson, clearly you can see the upside. Would he be our QB1 off the board? If I think a guy like Lamar Jackson, I probably want to pair him with somebody else. We have Kirk Cousins still on the board. Sam Darnold still on the board. Drew Brees, Matthew Stafford. Now, again, Brees being on the board is because he's getting up in there in age, getting close to 40 years of age. How much longer is he going to play is your question mark. Josh Allen. Allen might be an ideal guy to pair with Lamar Jackson. Just have 2 dynamic guys with very high ceilings and kind of pick and choose who I'm going to start from week to week, which I might ultimately do. So let's start with one of them. Let's go with Lamar Jackson, make him our QB1. I am taking him above Jameis Winston, Jimmy Garoppolo, Dak Prescott. Some people might think that's strange, but the upside is through the roof as a running quarterback in fantasy football. So he's the pick. Following his selection, the next 6 selections here in round 13, a lot more running backs came off the board. Chase Edmonds, Raquel Armstead, Alexander Madison, followed by Mike Gesicki, Alex Collins, Jay Sternberger. And then into round 14, Robert Foster, Marquise Goodwin, Jameis Winston did come off the board, followed by Mark Andrews, Vance McDonald, and LaShawn Shady McCoy. So we're here for our last pick. And just to recap, we have our top 5 quarterbacks available: Jimmy G, Dak, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, and Drew Brees, followed by top 5 running backs available. It is really dicey now. Kalen Ballage, Jalen Samuels, Chris Thompson, Jamal Williams, Giovanni Bernard, Top 5 wide receivers, Curtis Samuel, Devin Funchess, Emmanuel Sanders, Antonio Callaway, and Tyrell Williams. And top 5 tight ends remain Jared Cook, Jack Doyle, Jordan Reed, Ian Thomas, and Hayden Hurst. So given the fact that we took Lamar Jackson of our QB1, not sure how strong his tenure is there. I think it boils down to, for me, a guy like Sam Darnold or a guy like Josh Allen. I know people think, well, why don't you go running back? We're a little light there, but I still see the value. So, again, hopefully we can find a trade partner if this was a real quote-unquote draft. We're going to go with Josh Allen. Josh Allen being the last pick for us here in the 14th round. So, to recap, we got Lamar Jackson, our QB1, backing him up. Josh Allen, we took them in our last 2 picks. Our running backs, Ezekiel Elliott, Joshua Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Rashad Penny. Feeling a little light at the running back position, only having the 4 guys there. We knocked out of the park wide receiver, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, followed by Deebo Samuel, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and James Washington. And tight end, we have Evan Ingram and Eric Ebron. So looking back on the draft, where would we have made any alterations? Again, this is why it's a healthy exercise. You want to do these things leading up to your draft. I much would prefer having Ito Smith or Austin Eckler, having a 5th running back to having our 6th wide receiver. So again, it wasn't planned to go J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and then James Washington. We took J.J. prior to Ito Smith, Nyheim Hines, and Austin Eckler coming off the board. If I knew what I knew now, I would have taken one of them and then come back with James Washington, or maybe J.J. Arcega-Whiteside would have still been on the board in the following round. We played the game and we lost, and so but that's what you need to know. That's what you kind of got to figure out as you're going along. So I'd prefer to have that 5th running back, and I'd be immediately trying to trade James Washington or Arcega-Whiteside for another back. Now we're in a bad spot. Again, you only have to start 2 running backs. Okay, we have 4 guys I feel real good about: Derrick Henry and Rashad Penny, adding the depth behind Zeke and Joshua Jacobs. I just would prefer to have that 5th pick. And but overall, you know, the guide here, Fantasy Pros, gave us a 96 out of 100 in our draft. So pretty good. Feel really good about our core, really young group that I think can contend immediately this year and for years moving forward. So Fantasy Pros does this nice thing about it projects the standings. So let's see where it has us. It has us number 1. We would have the number 1 best team overall. We'd have the best starters, and we'd have the 2nd best bench. So we very good draft for our team. I think a lot of things broke our way, even though at the end there, I think we missed out on getting additional running back depth that I really like to have. So this has been our first ever Dynasty mock draft. I'll try to do another one again as we move through the summer months, as things kind of change and dive back into it. Hopefully this is informative for you guys. It was for me to go through the process. I think we did a pretty bang-up job. I would really like a Dynasty team like this. I think we have a good blend of guys who can win now and can develop down the line. Thank you for tuning in. Again, we are the next big thing in sports podcast. You can find us anywhere that has podcast-related material. That's your typical Apple iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher. And upon arrival on these platforms, if you would, give us a 5-star review. It goes a long way into getting our word out there about the podcast. We try to give you as much bang for your buck in under an hour. So also check out our website, thenextbigthinginsports.com. We'll continue to have rankings for fantasy. Look forward and give you our insight and predictions for the upcoming NFL season. Also dive back into the NFL draft waters and look at our college prospects for 2020. And that's what we're going next year. So thank you guys as always for tuning in, and we'll check you out again next time.